One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Wednesday afternoon edition. We have a special presentation today. Basically, President Trump has already done one signing where he did some executive orders. And then at 4 o'clock, he's supposed to come on and he's doing something in regards to making health technology great again. So we shall see what that is all about. As soon as that comes on, I will begin covering it. And then, of course, I've got a bunch of news thereafter to actually talk about as well. Whole lot going on. I had to wait until now because I was real busy with Ashley. Today is her birthday. And, of course, the grandkids are here. And then we got to do this show, and then we got to go out to dinner. So, a lot of work to do. But before we begin, you probably already know Jerome Powell, the piece of crap that he is, he did not lower interest rates.
I'm looking at the Fed funds predicting 63% chance that there's a cut in September.
So that's cut low scenario. What's the stock market doing?
Just nothing.
Yeah, this is not a huge surprise. It's
up a little bit.
2 dissents, the first time in 30-something years. That's not to be scoffed at, okay? That's not to be. And if I were Jay Powell, Mr. Chairman, I would not be proud of that.
As I used to say this on the trade desk, sharply unchanged.
Okay, sharply unchanged.
I always love when I can get Larry to laugh.
Me too.
Especially on a day like this. Larry, always good to have you. Thank you so much.
Great.
We're anticipating a live event in New York City.
It has nothing to do with the Fed, but your coverage of this horrible tragedy.
Yes.
Fabulous,
Amen.
Trace Kelly.
One of the things that I've begun to consider, and maybe you're beginning to consider this as well, that perhaps Jerome Powell is a handled man. One of the things I think, and I really feel this is true, we watched President Trump when he was at the Federal Reserve and he walked around and he was basically embarrassed Jerome Powell. And beyond the overruns in the budget, Jerome Powell, with President Trump not having to say anything derogatory, he exposed him as being completely inept. And so I want you to just imagine, do you feel comfortable that that guy is in charge of the financial world of the United States of America? Did he look like someone who had it all together? Not to me. He looked like somebody who was barely understanding what was going on. It reminded me of Mueller and all that stuff all over again. Was he just another puppet that the Democrats have installed, that the elite have installed to run the world? He did not look competent. He looks like a guy that, hey, get out there, read your lines, and if you're not reading your lines, you're in big trouble. So much so that he didn't even show up for the second part of that press conference. It's easy to walk out in front of a teleprompter and, be a good actor and read what's in front of you. It's different when you have to talk to the American people with no net. You're live. There's nothing out there to help you. Hey, look, here's a budget, and you're $200 gazillion over budget. No, that's something else. No, you don't look like you know what the hell you're talking about. So I think President Trump is exposing this guy over and over and over again. I think this disclosure routine that he's doing is showing Americans you've been run by some really bad people. People who really don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're just, as I've said, doing their role in this big movie. Doesn't make any sense. So those of you who have followed this Sydney Sweeney saga, and let me tell you about that as well. What I am often doing right now, and I think I've explained it to a bunch of you guys, is my shows sometimes can be 2-3 hours long. And I realize I realize that some people do not have the opportunity to sit through a 2 or 3 hour show. And so the next day I cut snippets and I put them up as video on demand for anybody to view. Much smaller nuggets. So some people watching go, is this a repeat? Well, it is if you've seen it, but the other people haven't seen it. That's why we're posting them afterwards, which is a common practice with content creation. You have your scheduled audience who watches the show, and then you put pieces of it out for other people. Sort of like appetizers. They get to know you. They see, oh, I like this content. I'll continue watching more. They're not going to just show up the first day and go, hey, let me dial into like a 3-hour show. They're not going to commit to that. So what we do, and I'm not alone with it, you chop up a piece and you put it on the other side of YouTube. So yes, if you are one of our valued people who come in and watch all the time, then you're going to see it a second time. So, but you don't have to leave something derogatory in the comments. It's just like, hey, I've seen this. Okay, move on. Come on back when we do live. All right, that being said, I was going to talk about this whole Sydney Sweeney thing. And people were freaking out. And, whether it was because of the way she looks, whether it's a culture shock to these lib nuts, well, they got hit with the counter, a second punch today. I mean, no sooner than the lib nuts recovered or trying to recover from the Sydney Sweeney thing that's blowing up. And by the way, if you don't know the difference between earned media and paid media is if I buy a television spot on a network. And if I buy a spot on a network, I'm going to pay for that spot to run. That's called paid media. That's specifically when you're buying an ad. Earned media is when everybody in the world's talking about it. And you hear that beeping? Everybody in the world's talking about it, and you don't have to talk about it. 1 second. Oh, I see what that is. 1 second. Hold on. Let me go ahead. That is the feed coming live. And as the feed is coming live, it's got the bars and tones to let me know it's coming up. But anyway, that thing blew up. They sold out. Their stock has gone through the roof. It worked. So, what happens when something works? A lot of people will then emulate it, copy it. Hey, if that worked for them, you think that could work for us? Yes, it could. And so Dunkin' Donuts, for you ladies, yeah, Sydney Sweeney was for the guys. You ladies, here's what Dunkin' Donuts just put out.
Look, I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan? Genetics. I just got my color analysis back. Guess what? Golden summer. Literally. I can't help it. Every time I drink a Dunkin' Golden Hour refresher, it's like the sun just finds me. So if sipping these refreshers makes me the king of summer, guilty as charged. The Golden Hour refresher. Only a Dunkin'.
America is so back, baby. I'm like, okay, so you got Sydney Sweeney over here pushing jeans, and you got Mr. Hunkster, Mr. Golden Summer, out here pushing lemonade for Dunkin' Donuts. That's got to be making live nut heads explode everywhere. Like, oh my God, they're bringing like toxic masculinity back. Yes. They're bringing like good-looking white people back. Oh, they're putting good-looking white people on the screen. Yes. We're going to put all kinds of people who can help us sell our products. That's what they're going to do. We're done with your Soros-subsidized DEI crap. This is America. America is back. And so if you got the hunky dude sipping Dunkin's lemonade, and you got the buxom lady out there doing jeans, this is a marketing genius play by all these companies who realize, you know what? You know how I can differ from these other nuts? I can differ from these other nuts by giving people what they want, not trying to shove stuff down their throats. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, so we are getting ready for this event. This guy looks quite spiffy. Let me show you this guy here in that actual room. That looks pretty cool. You got the, I guess that's Navy. I don't know my armed forces enough to know what he's decorated in there. It looks like something out of A Few Good Men. So if I had to guess, I would say Navy, but I'm not too sure. So we're getting ready for that, and when that comes out, we'll go ahead and pop it on. But before we begin with that, let me pay a word to one of the sponsors of today. You guys have heard it, you've loved it, you've liked the way the spot runs and everything. Where is it? It's supposed to be here, easy for me, easy access for me to, here we go. I'll be right back. All right, here, enjoy yourself with Juvenon. Today's show is brought to you by Juvenon. Are you feeling tired, sluggish, or foggy? It could be poor blood flow. Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon is scientifically designed to support healthy circulation, so you'll feel energized, clear-headed, and vibrant again. It's packed with natural ingredients like nitrocyanine, I hope I said that correctly, S7, and trans resveratrol. Blood Flow 7 works by boosting nitric oxide levels, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels, helping your blood flow freely to every corner of your body. And that means more oxygen and nutrients to your brain, heart, muscles, and even those places that might need a little extra help as you age.
They call it a lifting. They also use another word, but I'm not going to use that word. You know what that is? The word, it starts with an E. You know what the word is? If I ever used it, I'd be run out of town by you people.
Oh, behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
Explanation was not they didn't like Donald Trump. They said he participated in an erection.
With just one dose a day, you can reclaim your stamina, support heart health, and improve overall vitality, all without any caffeine or stimulants. Try Blood Flow 7 today and feel the difference where it matters most, inside your veins. All right, so they haven't started the event yet. They're getting seated. But before they do that, let's go ahead and look at some of what I've put together for a show to you today. And we'll cut back as soon as these guys are ready.
As you know, we made our deal with the European Union. The Japan deal is done. Many of the other deals are done. Indonesia was a very big deal, big country actually. And they're wonderful, and hopefully wonderful for both sides. But it's literally trillions of dollars ultimately being brought into our country. and it was something that had to be done, and it is being done, and it's being done properly. We're now negotiating with various other countries, and the rest we're just sending out the bill to. We send a bill, we send a letter saying that you'll pay a certain tariff. And obviously, that's most of them because you have, as you know, hundreds of countries, a lot of countries out there. So we look at the deficit, or we look at the surplus, and we look at the country and how the country's treated us, and lots of other things go into the equation. And we make a decision as to what that tariff will be, and it's a pretty standard letter from that point on. And I want to tell you, this is something to me, it's a VA bill signing, and it's very important to me and to many of the people in this room. So I'm thrilled to sign the VA Home Loan Program Reform Act into law, and that is something that they've wanted to do for a long time. This legislation provides desperately needed relief to veterans and their families who have fallen behind on their mortgages, of which there are a lot, because we have somebody that doesn't want to lower interest rates and probably won't lower them today. It's a really sort of an amazing situation. And it helps keep our promise to end veterans' homelessness. And we're going to do that for America. We're going to do that for our great veterans. I'm thrilled to be joined by the bill's sponsor, Congressman Derek Van Orden. Where's Derek?
Right here.
Derek? Hello, Derek. I didn't see you back there.
Well, I'm a Navy SEAL. I snuck out.
Let's see. And Mike, how are you, Mike?
Mr. President.
These two gentlemen are terrific. They are working together, and they've been working together, Mike, a long time on this. I just want to thank you both, and I'll ask you to say a couple of words. An estimated 61,000 American veterans are in danger of losing their homes, as you know. But thanks to this bill, the Department of Veterans Affairs will be empowered to pay loan holders the necessary amount to prevent foreclosures on our veterans, so our veterans won't be foreclosed and put out onto the streets. It's very important. This bill also creates a 5-year partial claim program that could benefit up to 3.7 million veterans. That's the kind of numbers you're talking about. It's big stuff. The costs of the program are fully offset and will add nothing at all to debt. This common sense legislation had overwhelming support and passed unanimously in the House and the Senate. Wow. When was the last time that happened? That's pretty impressive. My administration is committed to doing everything possible to ensure that our veterans are treated with respect and treated as well as anybody in this country. They're so important. They're so great. They've suffered so much in many cases. In May, I signed an executive order to open the National Center for Warrior Independence in Los Angeles, California, which will house up to 6,000 homeless veterans. You know, until we came along, they treated the veterans far worse than the illegal immigrants. They came in, they were staying in hotels, luxury hotels, and the veterans are staying outside of the sidewalk on the same hotel. Some pictures are just incredible. In addition, we'll also be opening a full-service VA center in New Hampshire, which is the only state in the union to not have a VA center. And I made that promise to the people of New Hampshire a long while ago, and we got it done. It's the only state that doesn't have, and yet you have a lot of veterans in New Hampshire. We're slashing the wait times at VA medical centers, and we're bringing back VA choice and VA accountability, which I had and the Democrats abandoned. It made it so much better. Accountability, meaning if you treat our veterans badly, we treat you badly. You get fired and beyond that. And VA choice is you can get out and you can, if you don't have a doctor ready, willing, and able to take care of you within the VA, you go outside, you go see a doctor, you get better, and we pay the bill. And the veterans loved it. We had a 92% approval rating. And what did the Democrats do? They came along and they ended both of them, and they hired back many of the people that we fired. We fired people and replaced them with great, loving people. But we fired people who were sadists. In many cases, they were sick. They were thieves. They were stealing. And they hired them back. The accountability, meaning the VA accountability, was a big deal getting it passed because you have unions, you have all sorts of problems to go through. We got it through everything. And the Democrats, as soon as they got back, they hired many of the worst people right back, and we're getting rid of them. But I want to thank the two gentlemen standing behind me, and I'd like to ask you just to say a couple of words, and then we'll take a few questions if you'd like, and we'll sign the bill, and our veterans will be very happy about it. Thank you. Mike, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, first off, thank you, Mr. President, for signing this bill today. Let me tell you that not only this bill, which will help make sure that those veterans have got themselves in a situation where maybe they would be foreclosed on, it gives them just a little bit extra help without the government going into a banking business like what we had with the previous administration. I also want to say thank you too, though, for appointing Doug Collins as our secretary for the VA. As chairman of the VA, having the opportunity to work with Doug, one, because we worked together before, but he has the right attitude, and the attitude is the VA is not about bureaucracy. It's about the veterans, and we want to keep it that way. That doesn't mean we don't have a good workforce. What it means is that workforce is focused on the veterans, not on making sure that the VA grows, but making sure that the VA does the job it's supposed to do. And thank you, Mr. President. It's your leadership that allows that to happen.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here today. Thank you, Mr. President, for hosting us here. I'm the longest serving enlisted member of the United States military to ever get elected to Congress in the history of our nation. And I'm unequivocally stating right now that President Donald J. Trump is the most positive, pro-veteran president in the history of this country. And so he backs up his words with deeds, and this is another example of how President Trump is taking care of our veterans. So, sir, I'm very thankful for you, for your leadership, and let's get this thing done and get our veterans into homes. So God bless you, and God bless the United States.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let's sign first, and we'll take a couple of questions. Yes. I'll get it done. We've been waiting a long time. And I do want to commend Doug Collins, because I hear he's doing
a fantastic job.
He's done an incredible job. Okay. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
No photo pen? It's a very important bill, and we want to thank everybody for the great help, but in particular, you two guys have done a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Okay, take a pen.
I'll keep that one.
Take a pen. Take another pen. And we'll take them and give them to the other people to help. Okay?
Very well.
Okay, questions?
Mr. President, you said that higher interest rates are making it harder for veterans to refinance. There's a stronger than expected GDP report this morning. What do you say to analysts who worry that lowering interest rates would actually lead to inflation?
Well, if that happens, then we just raise them. What you do is you lower them, and let's see if there's inflation. Right now, there's no inflation. Everybody thought there would be. All we have is billions of dollars of cash pouring into our country from other countries that took advantage of us for many, many years. You know, they were taken advantage of. We were like the stupid people that didn't know what they were doing. They took advantage of us. Other countries, friend and foe. And by the way, the friend was oftentimes much worse than the foe when it comes to trade. So if that happens, what you do is you raise your rates and you do what you have to do to stop inflation. But we're keeping the rates high, and it's hurting people from buying houses, and we don't want that. If for any reason that happened in a year or two, if there's some signs of inflation coming back, right now there's not. We have a great thing going. I think we're going to have the richest economy you've ever seen. We have money coming in that we've never even thought about, at numbers that nobody's ever seen before. We have a deal with Japan where they're going to pay us $550 billion. We have a deal with Europe where they're doing $750 billion plus $400 billion plus $300 billion. And many other countries, it's likewise, you know, relatively, those are two big ones, but likewise. So we have a lot of money coming in, and we have no inflation, and we're very strong, and we should be lowering the rates. You know, each point that this gentleman keeps up costs us $365 billion a year. Think of that. 1 point, $365 billion. If you bring it down a point, we save 365. We should be the lowest interest rate, and we're not. We're 38, number 38, because of the Fed. It's all because of the Fed. He's done a bad job. Now, he's got a meeting today, but I call him too late. You know, he's always too late. Even if he does it today, probably won't. I hear they're going to do it in September, not today. For what reason? Nobody knows, but Europe, as you know, cut their rates 11 times in the last short period of time. But the good news is we're doing better than anybody anywhere in the world. Nobody's doing anything even close to us, even with the higher rates. The higher rates do affect housing, though, because people can't go out and get a loan or refinance their house, and it would be nice to have them be able to do that. That would be just another check of a box. That would be very important. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you mentioned today that India, in addition to its 25% tariff rate, would pay an additional penalty because of its support of Russia. What is that additional penalty? And are other countries facing the same threat?
Well, we're negotiating right now, and it's also BRICS. You know, they have BRICS, which is basically a group of countries that are anti the United States, and India is a member of that, if you can believe it. It's an attack on the dollar. And we're not going to let anybody attack the dollar. So it's partially BRICS, and it's partially the trade situation. It's the deficit. We had a tremendous deficit. So, as you know, Prime Minister Modi's a friend of mine, but they don't do very much business in terms of business with us. They sell a lot to us, but we don't buy from them. You know why? Because the tariff is so high. They have one of the highest tariffs in the world. Now, they're willing to cut it very substantially, but we'll see what happens. We're talking to India now. We'll see what happens. It doesn't matter too much whether we have a deal or whether we charge them a certain tariff, but you'll know at the end of this week. August 1st is a very big day for this country because money is going to pour into the United States like we've never seen before. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hawley introduced legislation that would ban members of Congress from owning or trading individual stocks. It extends to the president and the vice president. Are you in favor of that legislation?
Well, I like it conceptually. I don't know about it, but I like it conceptually. And, you know, Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
Mr. President, Harvard is reportedly willing to settle with you for $500 million. Is that enough?
Well, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. We're negotiating with Harvard now. They would like to settle, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, what is America's debt to our Afghan war allies that kept our veterans safe over there? There's been some talk about sending a lot of them back.
No, we know the good ones, and we know the ones that maybe aren't so good. You know, some came over that aren't so good, and we're going to take care of those people. The ones that did a job, the ones that were told certain things. A shame what happened. One of the most disgraceful episodes in the history of our country. The way we left Afghanistan was just a disgrace. But I understand your question fully, and we'll take care of 90% of your question, okay? I know what you mean. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, on the tariffs on India, are you still open to negotiate with India on the tariff front?
Well, we're talking to them now. We'll see what happens. Again, India was the highest or just about the highest tariff nation in the world. And one of the highest, 100 points, 150 points or percentages. So India was one of the highest in the world. They had won 175%, and higher than that. You know, there's another higher one is Canada. They've been charging our farmers 200%, 300%, 400% for years, and nobody did anything about it. But India is one of the highest, so we're going to see. We're negotiating with India right now.
Mr. President, Cash Patel reportedly found burn bags of Russiagate materials, and we'd love to get your thoughts on that.
He said what?
Burn bags of Russiagate materials that FBI supposedly found.
I don't know that. I don't know what you mean by that statement. Say it.
Bags full of Russiagate
A
documents.
burn bag. I thought you said appointed them in a burn bag. Go ahead. You got to speak up.
Thousands of documents in these bags, supposedly burn bags of the FBI in the secret room.
Well, I want everything to be shown. You know, as long as it's fair and reasonable, I think it will be shown and it should be shown. And I think he feels that way, and I think Pam feels that way. But it's got to be, it's got to be stuff that really doesn't hurt people unfairly, because you have so many people involved. And if they can do that in a fair way, I think it's great. I think it's really great. The whole thing is a scam. It's a scam set up by the Democrats, and they love talking about it. But I would like to see people exposed that might be bad, and we'll see how that all works out. But it's getting to be very old news. You know, if they had anything, they would have done it the week before the election, because they were losing by a lot. If they had anything, they would have done it. They controlled the file. The Democrats controlled it. Comey and all this, sleazebags, every one of them that you read about all the time. And I guess they've got some problems now having to do with yet a different scandal, very big one. But they control that file. So I would think that if they would have had something in the file, they would have released it about a week before the election, maybe 2 weeks, right, Brian?
That's right.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, welcome home, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
It was a great trip. It was an amazing trip.
You look good.
For the country. For me, it was okay, but for the country, it was an amazing trip. Go ahead.
It was. Many parents are preparing to send their kids back to school in a few weeks. Now, this will be the first time they've gone back to school under the second administration for you. Now, the previous administration labeled a lot of parents domestic terrorists for showing up to school board meetings. What's your message to parents now as they return their kids to school, knowing that they have the support of you?
Well, the beautiful thing is, as you know, we've gotten rid of the woke. Woke is gone, and I think pretty well buried. We're going to make sure it's buried. But the parents are now taking over the school boards. They're getting rid of these people that probably didn't like the children very much based on what they were doing. And it's a big difference. And, one of the other things, and I keep watching these talking points that the Democrats have, they say, oh, prices are up. No, prices are way down. Fuel is down. Groceries are down. Things like eggs are way down. When I came in my first week, the eggs had gone up like 4 or 5 times. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. And they were hitting me about eggs. I said, I just got here. It was one of my first news conference. And we have eggs down now to a point where they were actually lower than even before. So I just want everyone to know prices are way down. And that's a big thing. Groceries, everything. If you look at fuel, $2.35 a gallon, a lot of that. But we actually had 4 states where it's down $1.99 as opposed to $3.50, $4. And it went up a lot higher than that. They got rid of my policy, and then it went through the roof. And then they brought my policy back, but it was too late. They blew it. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country. And now we have no inflation. We have nothing but cash coming in. The world respects us again. We're a really great, proud country. And I say it, I'll say it again, many, many leaders of other countries, I'm dealing with a lot of them today on their tariff situation. They owe us a lot of money. But many countries said to me, and almost in the same words, you were a dead country 1 year ago, and today you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We are the hottest country right now anywhere in the world, and that's why we're taking care of our veterans. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, on China, the Secretary of Defense briefed you today.
We're moving along with China. We're doing fine with China. I think it's going to work out very well. We're right in step. I think we're going to have a very fair deal with China. Thank you.
Mr. President, what did you think Epstein was stealing the women for?
Thank you, press.
They're playing some like ballroom music. Hold on, let me cut that. All right, that music was loud, real loud. All right, anyway, I'm so glad I was able to get that in. That was President Trump signing the congressional bill to help veterans avoid foreclosure. That's fantastic. Hate to see anybody lose their home to foreclosure, but I especially hate to see veterans losing their homes to foreclosure. So hopefully that gives veterans a good amount of help. Luckily, was able to get that entire session in. They still not have started this live event, which is it's called the Making Health Technology Great Again. It's interesting. So I'm not sure who's going to be here. As you can see on the panel there, let me just kill the music again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 seats, so we know President Trump will be one. I'm wondering, and I'm thinking RFK Jr. might be the other, since it has to do with health, but I could be wrong, and we shall see. So, that being said, listening to that, what he just said, that was before Jerome Powell decided not to lower interest rates. So he had it right on. Most of Wall Street knew it wasn't going to happen, and it didn't happen, despite all the good financial information that dropped this morning, which we'll get into after this event here. In addition, as you were listening to the questions from the press, he got one question about Obamagate/Russiagate. I hate putting gates. Let's just call it Treasongate. How about that? Can we call it Treasongate? In case you guys didn't know or hear or even care, Peter Strzok, out of nowhere, deleted every tweet he had on Twitter and /X. And then just recently, like earlier this morning, John Kerry deleted all his stuff as well. What are these people hiding? Why all of a sudden are they putting these things behind, either deleting them or putting them private? Doesn't really matter, because if it's out there, people already have it. Remember, who owns X at this point? He's got all your archives, so you can't hide it. So you're only hiding it from the general public, which is kind of stupid. And the other thing, in addition to talking about Russiagate, President Trump said woke is dead. It's gone. And at this point, the Democrats are trying to hold on, claw onto it, and it's dying a complete death. From the Sydney Sweeney to now the Dunkin' Donuts hunky guy. The other day, the WNBA were playing a game, and the girl, her wig fell off of her head, and they had to stop the game. And then because people were laughing at her wig falling off, they threw the people out of the game, out of the stadium, because they were laughing because her wig came off. That's not going to cut it anymore. They've caught all kinds of crap. If you think you're a real sport and the people in your sport can't take the heckling, and you want more money, because you think you're equivalent to men, and you can't shoot, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and now you're saying, don't heckle us either? Yeah, good luck you trying to get more money. You'd be foolish to give them more money. Woke is dead. Woke is gone. And as Sydney Sweeney did with American Eagle, and now this dude doing with Dunkin' Donuts, you're going to see the floodgates open up. I'm telling you right now, America, Americana, everything having to do with America is going to be front and center. You can mark the words here. You can put down this time. Barry said, advertising is going to turn to Americana. Yes. It is all imitation. Hey, are they making money by promoting America? Yeah. Whew. And they're not talking about Transformers? No. Or rainbows? No, they're talking about Americana. Oh, we need to get some of that. Watch. You'll see. You will see it coming up within the next 2 weeks. It takes approximately that long for an advertiser to get their agency all the information they want to talk about, and then boom, they'll turn it around, and you're going to start seeing cars with good-looking guys, black or white, good-looking women, black or white, Americana, all the stuff that the wokesters hate. You're going to see commercials about people making money. You're going to see commercials about people being successful, being normal. And all that stuff is going to start getting pushed under the rug. You're going to see Hollywood rush to be more Americana. At this point, the rush to the bottom is going to be had by the companies that want to keep doing this DEI stuff. You keep doing it, yeah, Boom. You're done. You're absolutely done. You're going to see it on television. You're going to see it in stadiums with flyovers and jets and all kinds of stuff. Everybody's going to be promoting Americana. And then notice, I guess 2 weeks from now, when the NFL season starts, see if you start seeing that end racism crap anymore. That will really tell you, you know what, maybe we need to take this stuff off the end zone. Maybe we shouldn't be promoting this crap. Maybe we should just have fun like it used to. And the effectiveness of the libnut media is completely lost its fangs at this point. Nobody wants this crap. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. We don't want to be told we're bad people because, you know, we're Americans. We don't want to be told we're bad people because, I don't know, you want to look a certain way and you want a woman to look a certain way. One of the things that struck me with this whole Sydney Sweeney thing that nobody talked about, well, at least I didn't see anybody talking about it, is how can you be mad at this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, buxom woman slithering around in her jeans or opening up the hood of the Mustang and appealing to men if you can't define what she is? You know, we have a Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Jackson Dummy, whatever her name is, who would ask before her confirmation hearing, can you define what a woman is? I don't really know how to define that. Well, if people on those TikTok tapes can't define a woman, then what were you looking at? And what are you pissed off about? Y'all want to answer that? How can it be problematic that a woman is being over-sexualized when you don't even know what a woman is? Except for the fact that everybody who saw that commercial, especially a bunch of guys, looked at it and go, I know what a woman is. I remember what a woman is. Y'all crazy. Eyeballs. People pay for eyeballs. Things that attract them. And I don't mean attract them in any sort of physical way, but it catches your eye. The other stuff that they do doesn't catch anybody's eye. It repulses them. We don't even want to see it. You're a clown show. And so after President Trump is doing this, I'm going to show you more of the clown show that they have become. Because at this point, you have to laugh at them. You have to don't feel sorry, but feel amused by these carnival clowns that they are. They can't accept that President Trump has turned everything around in under 6 months. The economy's doing very, very well. People are making money. People are successful or chasing success. Gas prices, for the most part, are down. Grocery prices, for the most part, are down. You go through that 20 items that he said he was going to do, and he's almost through all of them. And I've got some idiots out there telling me the midterms are in trouble. Who wants to go back to Biden and Kamala? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you prefer, and you would rather have Kamala running things right now. Because I think you're all full of crap, the people in the Democrats who would raise their hands for that. So when they're doing these polls and things, I have no idea who they're talking to. Maybe the people who aren't working. Maybe the people who aren't enjoying life. Maybe people sitting home waiting for the phone to ring so I can say, hey, yeah, Trump sucks. Because everybody else who actually has a functioning life would look at this and go, this is fantastic. Everything he's doing is working. I see things. I see it better. It's coming. President Trump posted a few things on True Social. Let's get to them while we're still waiting. Nobody's walked out yet. He posted this earlier. He said, the August 1st deadline, 2 days from now, is the August 1st deadline. It stands strong and it will not be extended. A big day for America. So he's not playing. Pay up. Get ready. He said it again. August 1st. Great day for America. He posted, what do we got going on here? We are and this was a little while ago. This was about 15 to 20 minutes ago. We are very busy in the White House today working on trade deals. I have spoken to the leaders of many countries, all of whom want to make the United States extremely happy. I will be meeting with the South Korean trade delegation this afternoon. South Korea is right now at a 25% tariff, but they have an offer to buy down those tariffs. I'll be interested in hearing what their offer is. So you got countries coming in and saying, okay, what can we do about this? We don't want to pay this ticket. Can we negotiate? Okay, what's your offer? Democrats say it's not working. We have concluded a deal with the country of Pakistan, whereby Pakistan and the United States will work together on developing their massive oil reserves. You know, remember what Biden did to the strategic oil reserves? He drained them. So we're going to put it back. We are in the process of choosing the oil company that will lead this partnership. Who knows? Maybe they'll be selling oil to India someday. Hold up, hold it. Before Nancy Pelosi reads this, you just got to advance notice. We are in the process of choosing the oil company that will lead this partnership. So let me ask you a question. What do you think is going to happen to the stock of the company that is told you get to lead the partnership with India? If you got your head screwed on right, you know what's about to happen. You know what exactly is going to happen. He just said it, not me. We are in the process of choosing the oil company to lead this partnership. So one of these big oil companies is going to get a deal of a lifetime. And you potentially can make a deal of a lifetime by looking and watching and maybe sharing your spreading your money amongst a couple different oil companies. Like who might that be? First of all, it's probably going to be an American company. A solid American company, so that's going to reduce your amount of companies. But there's somebody's about to get a good contract. Who knows? Maybe they'll be selling oil to India someday. Another indicator. Likewise, other countries are making offers for a tariff reduction. All of this will help reduce our trade deficit in a very major way. A full report will be released at the appropriate time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So you're seeing some movement happening with Pakistan and building up oil reserves. He also talked about the GDP. All good news. Second quarter GDP just out 3%, way better than expected. Too late, must lower the rate. He's not doing it. No inflation, let people buy and refinance their homes. Now, at the same time that President Trump seems to be quite upset that Jerome Powell has not lowered the rates, just like I just said about the insider trading part of this thing. Everybody, I shouldn't say a superlative, most people assume that the Federal Reserve is going to lower interest rates in September. Most people understood he wasn't going to lower the interest rates this time. But if most people understand that he's probably going to lower the interest rates in September, what should you be doing to get ready for lower interest rates in a couple months? Now, this is when you have advance notice of a couple things happening. It is July 30th, my daughter's birthday, and you have right now, everybody has right now advance notice of three big things getting ready to happen. A, August 1st, some countries are going to have to pay up or cut deals. Big day for America, he's letting you know. Number 2, some oil company is going to get awarded a deal to go ahead and work with Pakistan to move some oil. Do your research. Who looks like they could handle that? And then 3, most importantly, you now know in September when the Federal Reserve meets again, they're probably going to lower interest rates. So armed with those 3 nuggets, this is when you can begin to start planning, start looking and charting out and going, all right, I got 3 months here. Actually, no, what am I talking about 3 months? It's basically August. You have about 75, no. You have about 45 days to get your stuff in order. Maybe sooner. And here they all are walking out. I don't see President Trump walking out yet. He'll be out. It is RFK Jr. with him and Dr. Oz. But before they get on, just wanted to give you that information. What you do with it now, like the Mission Impossible movie, it's up to you. You can either choose this mission or you can stay where you are right now. I'm pretty sure there are some people who are like, thanks for that information, and let me start doing some research and see where, that puck is going. That proverbial puck that I keep talking about, you now have an indication of where it's headed in less than 31 days in August and 3 or 4 days or so in September, because you got Labor Day weekend. So you got about 35, 36 days to put a plan together and say, okay, I'm going to put some stuff here. I'm going to move this lever. I'm going to do this. That's what you have to start looking at. And again, you don't need to be a Svengali. You don't need to have a huge broker. You just have to listen and follow the breadcrumbs. Everybody now knows on Wall Street what's about to happen in September. You don't think they're making moves? Of course they are. Hey, interest rates are going to get lower in September. Rocket ship time. Now this is the time where you see the rocket on the platform and they're testing the engines, because in September, boom, it's going to take off. The President of the United States is coming in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
And we have a lot of great people here, and we've been looking forward to this day, but we sort of look forward to every day because we have a lot of surprises, most of which are good. Today you saw GDP was much higher than anticipated, and Scott, good job. Scott Bessent's been working, just got back from a little excursion and a meeting with China in Europe. And that went well. We've done very well with the EU deal. It's a very big deal, I guess. They say the biggest trade deal ever made by far, probably is. Just completed Japan and many other countries. And hundreds of billions of dollars is flowing into our country. We've never seen anything even close. And that's not me saying it, that's everybody saying it. And it's going to be something really, really very special. Maybe even more importantly, factories for AI and for cars and for lots of other things are being built in this country or planned to be built very shortly. They'll be starting. And where they need great amounts of energy, like for AI, they're going to be, I've given them approval. And Lee Zeldin has given them very fast approval to build their own electric powering plants, and they'll build them with the factory, so we don't have to worry about an ancient grid and all of the other problems, the obstacles people thought we were going to have that would make it impossible. And we're leading AI by a lot, and I think people are very impressed with our country. As they said, the King of Saudi Arabia and various leaders, and just about every leader I can even imagine. We were in the Middle East and Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. They said, 1 year ago, your country was dead, and today you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and that's true. So I congratulate everybody in the room that's helped, but we're doing a good job together. I'd like to begin by saying a few words about the unbelievable kind of numbers that we've been putting up. And as I said, the number of 3%, the pace in the second quarter, we smashed all expectations. They thought it would be maybe a little bit less than 2, and it was 3, a little bit more than 3. Consumer spending is up. Business investment is way up. Domestic manufacturing is way up. Real disposable family income is up, and personal savings are up. Other than that, we're not doing so great. We have the hottest country, and I'll tell you, it's a great. We're having a lot of fun with it. At the same time, we dramatically slashed government spending for the second quarter in a row, down nearly 4%, which people were surprised at. We do a lot of cutting also. The private sector has boomed with nearly 600,000 jobs added, way above expectations, while we have reduced the federal workforce by 70,000 jobs. So these are private jobs that are coming back to our country. Federal jobs are being cut. Critics said that our tariffs would hurt the economy, but the data shows the exact opposite, and the exact opposite is happening. The U.S. Treasury has taken in $150 billion from tariffs, and we'll be adding about $200 billion next month for totals that nobody's ever seen before, frankly. And foreign imports were down 30% in the second quarter, while the domestic auto production surged by a stunning 36%. How about that number, Dr. Oz, right? That's good. That's good. We want to do that with your patients, too. We'll have a very healthy, we're going to have a very healthy country. At the same time, inflation continues to fall faster than expectations, and for the fifth consecutive month, core inflation was lower than predicted substantially. This is truly the dawn of the golden age of America. That's what we're in. We want to keep it that way. This afternoon, we're gathered to announce another historic victory for the American people, very important one. Today, the dream of easily transportable electronic medical records finally becomes a reality. I want to thank Secretary Scott Bessent, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for joining us, as well as Administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, all friends of mine, White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs, and Acting Administrator of DOJ, Amy Gleason, all here. And we have various great senators here, Senator Round, Senator Cassidy, thank you very much for being here and helping out. I also want to thank representatives from Apple, Google, Samsung, Amazon, OpenAI, Anthropic, Epic, Oracle, Athena, Health, Noom, and that's not a bad group of people. Wow. And they're the top people. We don't play games. You know, when you invite people to the White House, the top ones, that's a big net worth sitting in this room right now. Boy, oh boy, we better make sure the room is nice and safe. It's half the net worth of our country. I'm also grateful to be joined by numerous congressmen. I'm not going to name you if you don't mind. I'll probably never get their vote again, but it's too many. Thank you very much for being here. The Congress has been great. Senators have been great, and the congressmen and women have been great. We just passed the most important, I think, look, I can't say most important, but certainly one of the most, but the most consequential and the largest bill in the history of Congress. And I call it the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it different names, but it all means the same thing. For decades, America's healthcare networks have been overdue for a high-tech upgrade, and that's what we're doing. The existing systems are often slow, costly, and incompatible with one another. But with today's announcement, we take a major step to bring healthcare into the digital age, something that is absolutely vital. You got to do it. Moving from clipboards and fax machines into a new era of convenience, profitability, and speed, and frankly, better health for people. Under the leadership of Administrator Oz, we're officially launching the CMS Digital Health Tech Ecosystem to give healthcare providers, insurers, and software companies the tools they need to empower Americans with a 21st century experience on health. The key breakthrough we've made is getting many of the biggest names in the healthcare and technology to agree to industry-wide standards for electronic medical records. All of those great companies that you just heard have gotten together with this group of very brilliant people. I don't know who's more brilliant, them or them. I don't know. Could be them. I hate to tell you. It could very well be them. But I don't know. I'm going to take my team. But the key breakthrough we've made is getting many of the biggest names in healthcare and technology to agree to that real those standards of electronic medical records that we talk about and you've heard about for so many years, and now it's happening. This will allow patients to easily transmit information from one doctor to another, even if they're different networks and using different record-keeping systems. No matter what system they use, they're all transferable. The new standards will also make it simple for patients to access their own personal health records. I don't want to see mine, please. I don't want to see. I don't know about you. They have all sorts of things. Sir, they can tell you exactly what your problem is going to be in 6 years. We can do it. You know, they have all these different things. I don't know if they work or not, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. If they got a problem, I don't want to know about it right now. But it is amazing what they're doing. I don't know. Does it actually work? Can they do that? All right. Well, then I'm glad I said I don't want to know. But thanks to this announcement, healthcare providers across the country will also finally be able to kill the clipboard. It's an expression that's used, capital, with a capital C, kill the clipboard. Instead of filling out the same tedious paperwork at every medical appointment, patients will simply be able to grant their doctors access to their records at the push of a button, just a button, and you're all set, and all the information the doctor needs will be immediately transmitted. The system will be entirely opt-in, and there will be no centralized government-run database, which everyone is always concerned about. I'm less concerned than anybody. I say whatever it is. But people are very, very concerned about the personal records. They want to keep them very quiet, and that's their choice. I think it's a great thing because it'll be absolutely quiet. Instead, doctors and patients will always remain in control. The benefits to millions of Americans will be enormous. We will save time, we will save money, and most importantly, we'll save lives. It's just going to make people live longer and be a lot healthier. I think that's really what you're looking to do. And now I'd like to ask Secretary Kennedy to say a few words, followed by David Sachs, Dr. Oz, and Amy Gleason. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I just want to begin by making a comment that is irrelevant to what we're gathered here today to talk about. But I've been coming to this building for 65 years, and I have to say that it's never looked better. I've spent some time in the Oval Office, which really it's been transformed. And I was looking at a picture of the Oval Office the other day when I was there, when I was a kid with my uncle. And, you know, it was extraordinary. It's always extraordinary to go into that sacred space. But I have to say that it looked kind of drab in the pictures. And they were black and white pictures, but it looked drab. And it looks the opposite of drab today. And I think, I know all these portraits, I hope you get a chance to look at them when you go out there, that they were handpicked by the president. And many of them hijacked from other agencies that were trying to keep them. But I mean, you know, my uncle, my aunt, Jackie, who were deeply committed to design, to beauty, and who understood that it's important to have our public buildings be beautiful because it inspires us, it elevates the human spirit. It's one of the, it is a template, and it's an example, an exemplar for democracy, the releasing through freedoms of the creativity of the human spirit. And this building, of all buildings, should look beautiful. And under your stewardship, it looks extraordinary today. So thank you, Mr. President, for that. About 3 weeks ago, I met with the Indonesian health minister. And Indonesia today is regarded as the highest flourishing nation on earth. Since 1990, it has increased the lifespan of its women by 8 years, of its men by 9 years. There's no country that has a record like that. And there are two major innovations that allowed them to achieve that extraordinary outcome. And one of those was to disincentivize people from eating processed foods. Oh, you are paid not to eat processed foods, and you are penalized for eating processed foods. The other innovation that really transformed Indonesia was allowing people control of their individual health records. He showed me the app that they use that everybody in Indonesia has. And it shows your height, your weight, your blood type, your BMI, your cardiac markers, your diabetes markers, your cholesterol, and any kind of individualized treatments that you had. So if you go to a doctor in another town, he doesn't do what we have to do here, which is to sit there with a clipboard and a fax machine in order to get your health records. It's available, and it allows them to give better treatment. It also allows you to make better choices over your life. And there's other apps like Yaka in Indonesia that allow you to choose good foods when you go to the grocery store. So you can turn your app on your phone and you can get full information of those foods. Well, now if you have your medical records, you can get personalized advice. And that app will also give you advice about a better alternative. So we're going to be able to, we met, Dr. Oz and I met with the former Prime Minister Rudd of Australia just before, just after the election during the transition phase. And he, after his retirement as Prime Minister, he ran a commission to reorganize the Australian health system, and they revolutionized it, and they vastly improved health in Australia. And he said the single thing that he did that was most important to that transformation was the transparency that occurs when people control their own health records. Because it gives people the choice over their own health decisions and over their own lives, and it gives them a sense of responsibility and allows them to measure the interventions if they change their diet, if they change their exercise. It can show you how many steps you took today. It can tell you if your glucose is spiking. And all of that information will now be available to American citizens. 60 years ago today, we passed Medicaid and Medicare in this country. And we have 60 CEOs in this room of these extraordinary companies, some of which the president just mentioned, that have all agreed voluntarily to start sharing information. President Trump, during his first term, passed the interoperability rule. And it was intended to do this. For 20 years, the federal government has been trying to do this. Everybody recognizes it's absolutely critical innovation for us advancing the health of American citizens, to give them responsibility and to give them control over their own healthcare choices. And unfortunately, you ran out of time the last time around. President Trump gave us instructions that he wanted this to happen within 6 months. We barely made it under the wire, thanks to Dr. Oz's leadership. And within 6 months, every American's going to be doing it, thanks to the cooperation of the corporate leaders in this room. You know, about 3 months ago, I met with the food executives, and I asked them to voluntarily come forward and get rid of food dyes, of the 9 synthetic petroleum dyes. And this is something, again, the government, Democrats and Republicans have been trying to do for 20 years. And the industry came forward, and now 40% of the food industry in this country has taken the pledge to remove food dyes from all of their foods. That happened because of your leadership, Mr. President. A month ago, we got, after a lot of work by Chris Klump and Dr. Oz and a lot of other people in our agency, we got all the insurance executives to come together in our country and in our offices and agree to get rid of pre-authorization for 80% of the DSM codes. This is a voluntary agreement. 80% of the industry has now agreed to do that. So this is happening because of good leadership. President Trump, you've asked us to think big, you've inspired us to dream big, and you've enabled us to accomplish things that no other president has been able to do. So I want to thank you for your leadership, for allowing this to happen. And with your leadership, we're going to make America healthy again. Now I want to introduce my friend, my colleague, the crypto czar, the acting administrator of Doge, David Sachs.
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. I recently got a text message from a friend whose wife has been suffering from a chronic illness for something like a decade, and they've been trying to figure out what it is. They've never been able to figure it out. And I just want to read this to you right off my phone. He said, I uploaded my wife's blood work into one of our leading AI engines on Friday. It essentially diagnosed her as having a rare genetic defect that causes bone marrow failure. It's caused every single thing that's happened to her. She has every single symptom. It started at exactly at the same age of presentation. It's 10 people out of 1 million. There's absolutely no way this is not it. So wow, it's really an incredible example of what AI is already able to do just today, and we're just getting started. And this was one person putting his wife's data in one of our consumer AI apps, and he's already been able to get that diagnosis, and that's going to help them tremendously. The key is the unlocking of the data, because the more data that AI has, the better it performs. And so, kudos to Dr. Oz and Secretary Kennedy for this pledge today. They were able to get 60 major companies across different sectors of the economy to agree to unlock their data so that AI can use it to drive better patient outcomes. And this is, all due to your leadership and President Trump's leadership to put the American people's healthcare needs first. And I remember Dr. Oz, he was one of the first people to call me during the transition when the president announced I'd be AI czar, because he wanted to ask me about how AI could better be used in healthcare. So kudos to you, Dr. Oz. Your passion's really incredible. And kudos to you, Secretary Kennedy, your passion as well. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was a big fan of Bobby Kennedy when he was running as a Democrat. And I remember thinking,
He gave a lot more money than President Trump.
well, I remember thinking there's just one problem with Bobby Kennedy. He's not a Republican. But thanks to President Trump, I think we fixed that. So, and I think that, getting people like Dr. Oz and Bobby Kennedy into the administration is a testament to President Trump and the talent that he's able to attract and pull together, and the partnerships that he's able to forge, because these are people who could be doing other things. So it's really a testament to the great talent that President Trump always attracts around him. Today's pledge by these companies is going to tear down barriers that allows both startups and established firms to compete freely. We're opening up the playing field so that the best tools can scale, compete on value, and discover new methods for making Americans healthy again. Technologies like AI, they do things like they will expand access to care, cut administrative costs, reduce fraud, and deliver better results for patients and doctors. And I want to thank you, President Trump, for your promise to not only make Americans healthy again, but also to ensure that America is a predominant AI superpower. Just last week, you announced a major AI action plan with hundreds of billions of dollars of new investment in AI infrastructure, and also getting red tape out of the way so that we can be the leading country in AI. And it's these life-saving applications that are going to be built on top of all of that infrastructure. So thank you for your leadership in making the United States the #1 country in AI. Thank you, sir.
David, thank you.
And now, Dr. Oz, we'll take it from here.
Mr. President, today we are making American health technology remarkably great again. We've always been at the leadership. David's right, I called him early on after the president offered me the position and him as well. And we began brainstorming on this. Secretary Kennedy from day one appreciated the crisis that we're in and how we needed to address it. So today is a remarkably important day, one that you will remember, I believe, for years to come, for 3 reasons. Yes, it is the 60th birthday of Medicare and Medicaid. The first patient, by the way, was Harry S. Truman. Although Lyndon Johnson signed the legislation 60 years ago today, not far from here. It is not just the ability to bring 60 of the top incumbents and insurgents in health technology, hospital systems, insurance companies, electronic medical record companies, AI companies, the big players. You're all here, and we appreciate that very much. But Mr. President, you used the power to convene. That's fundamentally what I think the president has been able to offer us. And Secretary Kennedy offered us as a group some examples, but there are more to come. And I want to touch on some of these. But first, I've got to do what doctors often have to do, which is to tell you the truth, even if you don't want to hear it. So here goes. These beautiful programs, which are the backbone of the social network, the social support system of this country, the safety net, they're flailing. They're flailing for a bunch of reasons. Medicaid is a unique entity. It has deviated from its original purpose by drift and by design. The One Big Beautiful Bill, the OB3 law, was elegant for that very reason. And President, I don't know if you remember this, I can share this, but he called me once and he was upset at me because I was going too strident at something. And he said, this is about fraud, waste, and abuse. That's what we're interested in doing. And that's exactly what the One Big Beautiful Bill accomplished. And it especially did it to save Medicaid by putting $200 billion more dollars into it and allocating funds very specifically to use to support rural America. And primarily, some of that money will be used to support digital infrastructure, which is terribly lacking in many parts of the country. The money that's sent from Washington doesn't get to rural America. About 7% of Medicaid dollars get to rural hospitals. We now have an ability to infuse funds through this $50 billion Rural Health Transformation Fund into that system. The gathering today is another example of how we can actually jumpstart that and accelerate it. The other reality is COVID broke the system. It did for many reasons. Medicaid expenses went up 50% in 5 years. Medicare, the trust fund that we met at actually Treasury with Secretary Bessent and Secretary Kennedy as trustees, it goes bankrupt in 2033. And that is actually a conservative estimate. It could go bankrupt as early as 2029. Thankfully, due to the economy, that's not going to happen. But we don't want to have to take that risk. And there's some fundamental changes we need to make accordingly. Now, there's one other big reality about making the system more efficient, which is why what everyone here is talking about is so critical. And let's just pick an average American born in 1964. That average American born in 64 will retire this year at age 61. If just that one group of people born in 64 could work 3 years longer because they're healthy, because they feel like they want to do it, because they feel vital and vigorous and they're flourishing, just that 1 year working longer is $1 trillion to the U.S. GDP, and is $300 billion of tax revenue to pay for a lot of the problems that people are concerned about. So it's not just keeping people out of the hospital, getting them to thrive and flourish that makes what we're doing so critical today. I think there are a lot of realities to how healthcare has gone. Unfortunately, this system is frozen, and it has been for many reasons, despite efforts in the first administration. It's frozen in time, so it cannot address the quality lags that exist. While Netflix and Airbnb and Uber drivers are racing ahead, making arrangements, identifying the problems that are challenging us in healthcare have become incredibly difficult. You can't make appointments. The average Americans are tired. They're tired of waiting for a doctor's appointment. They're tired of waiting for the surprise of what your hospital bill is going to offer. That's being addressed by one of the president's executive orders. They're tired of waiting for access to their medical records. You own your medical records. They're yours. Why you can't have access to them is a stunning reality in modern day America. They're also tired of waiting for Washington to take action. And this president early on emphatically stated that wasn't going to happen anymore. And today we made that vision into a reality. And there's a fine line between vision and hallucination. What you did today was show it's a vision because you share it with us and we're moving ahead on it. And that's what today's commitments essentially are reflecting. And they are pledges. They're not laws. They're nimble and they're fast and they're quick because the president understands that each of you in your own way understand these needs. And Secretary Kennedy spoke beautifully about the reality of what happens when you actually have electronic records, because what he said is happening in Indonesia, we'll have here. Within a year on your device, and 91% of Medicaid patients have smartphones. On this device, you'll get insights based on your records if you want. You don't have to take this, but if you desire, Amy Gleason is one of the smartest people I've ever worked with, has built a mechanism to be able to get you that information in a way with all these partners helping so that you can get nudged to pay attention to what you're eating and avoid processed foods that Secretary Kennedy smartly and wisely highlighted as so dangerous to our well-being. All this, by the way, is that will be at the fingertips. In addition, advice about which doctor to see, when to go see them, nudges, reminding you why I didn't do certain things. If you're a doctor like me, it's a very different story. It's to help you navigate the system better. It's giving you advice, decision support, which is becoming increasingly important as medicine gets more difficult. But I'll tell you the best thing of all, how many of you have been with your doctor telling them something heartfelt, very emotional, and they're looking to the side, typing into their computer, right? It's common. Put your hands up. I just want to see it. Yeah, most everybody. That's unfortunate because the whole sacrament, the whole covenant of being with the doctor is having them look you in the eyes and realize you're there for each other. That process is going to go away. We will, within the workflow of doctors, be able, with your help, allow physicians to take care of patients, gather the information while they're doing it, and will destroy the upcoding that has hurt Medicare Advantage and other programs in a similar fashion. The IT infrastructure that's going to change promises to improve a lot of things. We're going to cut fraud, waste, and abuse. Mr. President, we announced with the DOJ 2 weeks ago a $15 billion bust. $15 billion, it's a multinational criminal syndicate based primarily, we believe, in the Soviet Union, in Russia. And what they did was hack using beneficiary numbers into the system. We'll be able to stop that because of a system that Amy has put together and the wonderful work of Amy Brandt, who has a fraud war room using this kind of technology, because we'll know who you are and who your doctor is. We can block this. We're going to have remarkable advances in how consumers can use their own records. We'll have beneficiaries be able to get MAHA advice and prevention tips and even be able to nudge them and reward them perhaps for that. And all this comes back to one fundamental issue, Mr. President, which is leadership. I think 60 people, the biggest, the best, the willing, came forward because of your leadership, because you weren't going to take no for an answer, and they know it. We are building a robust and safe, I emphasize that, safe system. It's going to protect the data better than we could have imagined. We're going to be able to accomplish goals that all of us wished from day one that they would be in place. These pledges are now confirmed. They're signed in public. And you have therefore empowered Americans to own their property, which is their medical records. Let me introduce Amy Gleason. She is acting director of DOJ, U.S. Digital Service as well, and was actually the brilliant woman who pulled together the pieces of this puzzle with so many members of the audience. Amy Gleason.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to thank President Trump for his leadership in this area, and Secretary Kennedy and Administrator Oz for driving this work with clarity and urgency. I would also like to thank my colleagues who have been instrumental to this, and we've worked a lot of late nights and hard times on this, and it would not have been possible without them. I want to start today with my daughter Morgan, who's here in the audience. If you'd please stand up. I am so inspired and energized by your strength every day. And we also have two other patients here, Randy and Tom, who have been very inspiring. Thank you for being here today. You're why this all matters. Let me start talking about my daughter's history. So 15 years ago, she was diagnosed with a rare disease. She was 11 years old, and she started showing mysterious symptoms. Over the last year and a half after that, she saw the country's best doctors, but she still continued to get worse. At some point, she couldn't stand up off the floor or walk up the stairs, and we still had no answers. I carried a binder of paper records to every doctor's appointment so that I could keep them aligned. And I truly believe that if one of those doctors had been able to see her whole history, they would have diagnosed her faster. And if we had just had today's AI, then they could have connected the dots that the humans missed. Today, Morgan takes 21 pills a day, gets 2 infusions a month, and has over 40 patient portals. Her disease is very rare, but her experience is very common. And that is what we're here to fix today. Too many patients are forced to remember all the doctors that they've been to and log into portal after portal, repeating their story at every visit, and they don't have the digital tools to help them stay well. Meanwhile, every other part of our life is digital. I can order groceries and have them delivered in minutes. I get personalized recommendations on my other apps. But in healthcare, we still see it on paper and manual situations. But today, thanks to President Trump, we're changing that. Over 15 years, we've tried to regulate our way to a better outcome. And we have gotten a path forward, but they have not delivered the modern healthcare experience that Americans expect and deserve. I'm so proud today that these 60 companies have voluntarily stepped forward to make a pledge to take action and to join us to say, we're ready, let's fix this, we're in. We're trying something different. It's not regulation or rulemaking. This is a voluntary alignment around a shared vision, a commitment to work across boundaries, across competitors, and across silos. We're bringing together data sharing networks, electronic medical records, doctors, health systems, payers, and app developers. And we're asking one simple question: what can we do right now to make this work for patients? The companies pledging today are agreeing to collaborate, even with their direct competitors, because they know we can't keep kicking the can down the road. We have to stop talking about data interoperability and make the data flow. Here's something important. Not all patients will want these tools. Some will rely on their caregivers, and others will rely on their doctors, so they don't have to carry it themselves. But no matter how people engage, we must make sure it works for everyone. CMS is doing its part. We're clearing the path for innovation by building the long overdue National Provider Directory, a kind of digital map for healthcare that connects systems in real time and helps patients get more coordinated care. We're also modernizing Medicare.gov to feel more seamless and smart like other apps we use. But the government can't do this and shouldn't do it alone. These tools we need to make daily decisions must come from the private sector, and that's why this is so important. So let me tell you what this might look like after our collaborative effort. So Morgan, in 6 months from now, might show up to her doctor's appointment, and instead of filling out a clipboard with her 21 medications, 12 doctors, and her entire medical history, she can just pull out her phone and tap or scan a QR code and seamlessly transfer her digital insurance card, her verified medical record, and a digital summary that could help her provider get up to speed faster. We call this kill the clipboard, as President Trump said. After the visit, Morgan opens her AI assistant, a tool that she has authorized to access her records, and asks, what did the doctor say today? What did these results mean? What should I watch for now? And the assistant responds using her actual health history, explains her care plan in plain language, helps her track her symptoms, and even schedules follow-up visits if she needs them. And lastly, she has a new favorite app that helps her manage her chronic conditions. Because for years, Morgan has said what other patients say, I only see a doctor a few days a year, but I live with this disease every day. Today, we're starting with apps that can support patients 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. They don't replace doctors, they just fill in the gap between visits so that care is continuous and not episodic. So what makes this effort different? Today, we have all these apps that want to provide these services, but they can't get the data because it is so hard for patients to access their records. But today, we have 18 network companies who are here pledging to fix the infrastructure that makes this possible. They're doing this through modern data sharing networks that removes the burden on patients and providers and makes it available in real time using modern identity, just like when you check in at the airport. These honor patient privacy and transparency, and most importantly, it's a movement to work together to remove the friction that's holding us back. Because access to information shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a standard. So for all the Morgans out there, come join this movement with us at cms.gov. Let's kill the clipboard and axe the facts. Let's help make health tech great again. Or in this case, maybe it's for the first time. Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you very much. That was great. Hello. You look very, very healthy to me. You look really great. So just, I want to thank all of the companies that are here. These are big names, great people. Now you're doing something that's so important for our country, really for the world. It's beyond our country, I suspect. It's really for the world. So just keep it up. And you've hit new highs almost virtually every day for the last few months. And that makes your job probably a little bit easier. You're under very little stress. But someday you might have a little bit, but you're not going to have much. I think we're really going to great heights. But I just want to thank everybody, political people and the teachers and the companies and all of our cabinet. I even see Newt. Do I see Newt? I see Newt. Look at him. He's such a handsome man. He's a healthy man. We don't have to do any tests on him. But good to see you, Newt. But I just want to thank everybody. This is a very big undertaking, and it's a very serious undertaking. It's going to make a lot of people lead a much better life. Thank you all very much for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I call you by MFN?
Yeah.
Can we start?
All right, so I guess they're not going to take any questions from the press. Nope, straight up. All right. got a bit of breaking news. Well, I won't say breaking. Some of you guys probably all already know this, and some of you probably don't give a crap about it. But either way, the news I'm just reading right now is Kamala Harris has announced she, quote, will not be running for California governor. So that's going to be very interesting. Obviously, she's focused on 2028, so she's going to spend her time getting ready to run for the president. Says, I'm not going to be doing any public work right now. Yeah, right. That's exactly what she's doing. So she has declined. She's out. She will not be running in the for the governor's race. So that's going to be interesting. Maybe Steve Hilton or Sheriff Chad or maybe Rick Grinnell. Maybe we could sneak a Republican in there. I don't even know who they could run against him. What Democrat is going to try? Javier Becerra? Nah, well, who knows? That crappy state. You guys who live there, I'm not talking about you. You guys are good people. I'm talking about the idiots that have been running this place. All right, so before I get to the rest of the show, let me talk to you about Chapter. I've been talking to you about Chapter for quite some time now. My clock is ticking. I got about 3 weeks. And for those of you who are going to be turning 65 soon, this could be important for you. My Medicare advisors at Chapter are helping people cut through the Medicare mess and save thousands of dollars. I'm turning 65 real soon, and I'm getting bombarded with calls and ads, and it's overwhelming. On top of that, I didn't even know who to trust. There are a lot of scammers out there and selfish agents who are pushing people into plans so they can make higher commissions. That's what they're trying to do. But all my worries went away when I spoke to the people at Chapter. These guys are the real deal, for sure, 100%. They start by understanding your needs, not their commission. Then they compare every single plan to find the one that saves you the most money. On average, they save people $1,100. And if you're not looking to, quote, save money, but you want the best possible coverage, they can help you do that too. They're totally honest and independent, which can't be said about everyone in the Medicare business, sadly. Especially after what these guys just said. With one short and simple phone call, you can feel confident in your Medicare coverage. There's no pressure, no nonsense, just clear, unbiased guidance, and it's completely free for the fanfare community. Don't take any chances with your health or your wallet. Get your free, no obligation, I did say free, no obligation Medicare advice from my friends over at Chapter. Call 475-328-3545 today. You won't regret it. In fact, most people wish they'd called Chapter sooner. And as you can see on the screen, 475-328-3545. It ain't going to cost you a dime. Completely free to contact Chapter. All right, so let's move on. And I've got probably a good amount of content left before I got to get done here. So let's go ahead and move into the show. That was just the appetizer. Let's get into this.
Many of them didn't understand tariffs. Even economists, they didn't understand. It's a negotiation, basically. You know, when you say that you're going to pay X percent on any product that you put into our country, they're taking our jobs. They're closing our plants when they do this. You know, they have to pay a price for it. So our country was the richest from around 1870 to 1913. Proportionately, it was the richest. That was a golden age in a sense. We were so rich, we had so much money, we didn't know what to do with it. That was when we had a tariff country. We took money from outside countries. And stupidly in 1913, they went to a income tax system, and the rest is history. And, you know, look, it's done fine, but
see, one of the problems I have with that, not with what he's saying, but it's not taught. You see, people don't know that prior to 1913, we didn't have income tax. I know we've heard Howard Lutnick say it so many times. We're going to be so rich because of tariffs. I love that guy. But the fact is, the part that he's talking about, and he was the first person many people had ever heard say that. Hey, prior to 1913, you know we didn't even have these things called tariffs? Income tax. We were able to raise enough money by charging other countries that the money was coming in instead of going out. That's a novel concept to many people in this country who don't understand that. They grew up and have lived their entire lives with people taking money out of your paycheck and sending it to some country you can't identify in a map for who knows what every single year. And you never question it. Hey man, why are we sending my money to Cambodia? I never visited Cambodia. What's going on here? It didn't used to be that way.
We owe $36 trillion. You wouldn't owe $36 trillion with tariffs. And we'll be paying off debt, and we'll be doing a lot of things with this money. This money that's coming in is at levels that nobody's ever seen before.
The left and people that don't like the president and don't want things to work. And, you know, like Senator Elizabeth Warren will come on and say, inflation's out of control and the economy is getting killed by what's happening by these tariffs. This 3% with the market at new highs, and really we haven't seen inflation, you know, go up back to 3%. Maybe it will this week. Maybe we'll see it. But none of these horrible things have happened, but they still talk like it's happening.
And while the Trump administration will try to wave rosy headlines about the Q2 number, today's GDP number is in fact a mirage because some ominous numbers lurk under the hood.
The guys at CNBC called it. They can't continue to cry wolf. You can't keep complaining, hey, it's got to be horrible. Just wait. Eventually, this clock's going to be right twice a year or twice a second. It's going to happen. It's going to fall apart. We're going to keep telling you that over and over while we're cashing our checks and buying stock and making tons of money, millions and millions, but we're going to tell you it's all going to fall apart. Instead of just, hey, Chucky, you know what? Why don't you publish your stock moves this week? Just put it out there. You know, you say why everything is horrible. It's so bad. What are you buying? What stocks are you investing? How long are you keeping your position? When are you selling? What do you know? No, I don't want to hear you complaining about how everything sucks because we know you're lying. We know you're wearing a nice expensive suit. We know you're going to take a limo back and forth to a restaurant. We know tonight you're going to go eat someplace and spend $300 or $400 on dinner. Everybody knows that. In fact, it would be more appropriate if the press would begin calling you people out. Hey, listen, we just saw that, you know, Chuck Schumer just went to this big steakhouse in New York City. He goes there 4 or 5 times a week. He's always eating $300 or $400 dinners every single night, but he's telling you the economy sucks. It's a mirage. You know what's a mirage? A mirage is something that is fake. It doesn't exist. I can see when I go to the store, when I go places with Ashley, when we're out there and people are out there having a good time and spending money. I'm going to get done with this show, hop in the pool, dry off. We got dinner reservations tonight. They're completely lying to people. And they don't feel any compunction. But I love that now CNBC is telling them, hey, Chucky, yeah, you're full of it. You keep telling everybody the sky's falling, and everybody walks outside and, nope, the sky's not falling.
Business investment plunged in the second quarter by 3.1%. The fact that business investment plunged so starkly is very troubling. It shows that already businesses are worried about growing their operations, worried about hiring more workers, worried about trading with their international partners, and worried in general about the future. And this number is another data point in a larger pattern. Donald Trump's tariffs are weighing down the U.S. economy, spiking costs for small businesses and families alike. And if Donald Trump keeps up the chaos...
I just want to let you know, as you're seeing the timestamp at the very top of the video here as he's talking, it is 10:19 a.m. The numbers had been released prior to his preamble here. So before he started speaking, he knew the numbers were like, woo, these numbers are great. And he's got to go do a eulogy for anybody that is stupid enough to listen to him. They're like, are you looking at the same damn numbers? What in the heck are you listening to? What are you trying to tell people? Are you hoping nobody's watching C-SPAN, that they won't clip this? I clipped it. Gotcha. You look like an idiot.
The dangers for the economy will continue to get worse.
It's amazing.
Well, there's an important lesson there. Don't pick a congressman to be your money manager. That's
bingo. Hold on. I got to give him a clap up for that. That is amazing. For so long, we kept saying we need a business person in the government. And you get the libs like, the government's not like a business. You can't do that. You can't run government like a business. I'm like, why not? It's a P&L. You're bringing in money, you're spending money. That's very simple. It's pretty much what every single one of you do. You have your household budget. Doesn't matter what your income level is. You know, I got this much to spend because I only got this much coming in. I can't spend this if my income is down here. So why would we hire people and elect people who don't understand that simple premise? Why do we elect people you wouldn't allow to run your household? Hey, Barry, yeah, I just spent like $1 gazillion on stuff. I don't have $1 gazillion. I'm sorry, I just spent it. What do you mean? Well, we'll try and see if we can just, raise your next door neighbor to give you some more. It doesn't work that way. And so I love the guy in CNBC is like, you got to stop letting your Congress people be your financial manager. They are stealing, they're lying, they're inept. They've proven it. How the hell can we be $36 trillion in debt? That's because every single year we just keep spending. But you don't have the money. That's okay. We'll just borrow it. You can't do things that way. So they didn't want a businessman running the government because a businessman would walk in and go, so how much we make? Okay. How much we spend? Not anymore. What do you mean? That's all got to get cut. You can't afford it. If you can't afford it, you can't buy it. I'd love to have me a Bentley. I would love to have me a Cybertruck. I really would. Guess what? I'm not in the market for a $200,000 car. But the government says, hey, everybody can have the Cybertruck and the Bentley. How are you going to pay for it? No, we're just going to make everybody else pay for it. That's what they do year after year after year. But we keep electing people who've never done anything. They've never balanced a budget. They've never run a business. And we keep putting these people in office. Let me ask you a question. If you hired someone to cut your lawn and he'd never, ever cut a lawn, how long are you going to let this guy go out there and butcher your front landscaping before you're like, hey, man, it's not working out? Or worse, hire someone who's never cleaned a pool and maintained a pool. And you get in and your hair falls out or it turns green because they put too much stuff in there. Why are we electing congressional members and Senate members who've never done anything? Just imagine somebody is putting Jasmine Crockett in to talk to somebody else about the budget, about what we should be spending. Or putting the bartender in charge of what we should be spending. She's a bartender because she couldn't manage the bar. But now she's managing finances. We got to keep spending. We can't do this to people. You don't have any money. Oh, no, we'll just take it from somebody else. Just raise taxes.
What I would say, but in the end, Congress has their own reasons to point out certain things, and the Democrats, of course, as you pointed out, really don't want to see the current administration have some success. But there's no doubt that this is some success. We're seeing more horsepower. We're seeing better equities. Inflation really hasn't changed much in the last year or so.
The first read of second quarter GDP coming in at 3%. Consumer spending coming in higher by 1.4%. But again, this is higher than expectations. Again, GDP, this is the first read of the second quarter coming in at 3%. That is better than expected, 2.4%. I want to bring in Adam Johnson. Markets are certainly watching this right now.
Yeah, Goldilocks, because I would add to that, Cheryl, that the GDP price index was only 2%, and the expectation was 2.2. In other words, we have an economy growing at, what do you say, 3%. We have inflation at 2%. That's the best of both worlds. So I'm
See, that's very simple. The people who watch Smurf could understand that. Actually, Smurf was more complicated than that. When I went to the movie last night with the grandkids, and I'm like, I know this is a kid's movie, but what in the hell is going on here? None of this makes any sense because it's fantastical. It's not supposed to make sense. If the little guys can fly around and do magic and all that stuff, it doesn't make sense. You're too old for it to make sense. Okay, I'll just sit here and eat because I don't know what's going on. But it was nice and cool and dark, so I kept doing it. So that little 15-second blurb where he's like, hey, we got this and this is down here. Very simple. We got more than we spend. Oh, okay. Can you understand that? Do you think Democrats can understand it? Nope. Hey, it's a mirage. It's not even real. No, the data says this and this, which means we're doing much better. And you have probably trolls, and you have liberals who say, no, it's not that way. It's really not like that. I can't afford my gas. Maybe that's where you live. GDP, gross domestic product. Down here is inflation. It's high. We're making more money. You can't ignore it. All you can say it's not really true. And Epstein.
Very positive on that report, at least in the moment.
Well, we've got a stronger than expected GDP number, 3% for the second quarter initial read. That's up from a 0.5% in the first quarter. 2.6% was what was forecast. Now,
up 3%. Up 3%.
See, that's the problem too. As well, most people probably aren't watching CNBC. They're not watching Fox Business. They're over here watching, I don't know, The View or something. And so when they're talking about GDP and 3% and this and that and the other thing, and they're showing charts like that, if you don't know what that is, how are you supposed to understand what it means? If we have not educated our children, our students, as to, can you read that chart? Does that chart make any sense to you? Does it mean any different things? If you don't understand that chart, none of this makes any sense. You see, most people only care, can I go to the ATM and can I get some money out? That's it. And if I can't, then I can't buy something. And then I'm mad because I don't have enough money to pull out to buy something. And that's all they know. My GDP, I don't know what my GDP is. I put the stuff in, it says, can you buy it, you leave. So I'm trying to teach my grandson right now what his GDP is. Actually, it's not his GDP, it's mine, because I'm putting it in his account. But he's starting to learn. Oh, I can only buy this if I don't buy that. It was so funny. We were at lunch today. I'm going to tell you a secret. Hopefully Ashley's not watching this. It was so funny. She said he's home with Dad, and Dad took him to the grocery store. He's getting ready for football camp, and he wanted some protein drinks. He said, yeah, go ahead. You can buy that. And he came up, he goes, no, you have to buy that. What do you mean? See, it's a little bit different. You're a little bit different. At 16 years old, he's finding out, that card you have? That's your money. This is my money. See, this is Dad. This is Dad taking care of you. That's what you want. You want that? You pay for it. Mom, he's making me buy my own stuff. Welcome to the Republican Party. Enjoy. Make sure you got enough in the bank to pay for that you want. And then, next month when you get your stipend, you can figure out what your GDP is for that month. See, most kids were never taught to even understand what these charts mean. They don't understand, so all they know is that, can I get my iPhone, and do I have enough minutes left, and, maybe I can make some TikTok videos, and then I'm going to go eat at, McDonald's. Instead of understanding, you have to live within the means that you are, wherever you are. And right now, ours is rising. And we don't, because we're cutting spending.
Better than expected. That would be the highest level since the third quarter of 24, when it was up 3.1%. On the consumption side, up 1.4, very close to estimates. Up 1.4 would be the best since the last quarter of 24.
I think if there were a beauty contest for GDP releases, that Miss July would probably be very close to the top of the list of the early betting, because it got everything for everybody.
He gonna get us in trouble. He talking about centerfolds and stuff. America is back. when one of our leading economists at the White House starts equating our GDP to a centerfold, wow. Did he just say that? Well, this might just be Miss July. Dude, you understand there's going to be heads exploding. You just compared the month of July to a centerfold, a naked woman, a pretty naked woman. Oh my God, what are you trying to do to Democrats? Did you really just say that, bro? Hold up. Let me let you hear that again, because he did just say what I think he said. Ready? Listen.
That would be the highest level since the third quarter of 24, when it was up 3.1%. On the consumption side, up 1.4, very close to estimates. Up 1.4 would be the best since the last quarter of 24.
I think if there were a beauty contest for GDP releases, that Miss July would probably be very close to the top of the list of the early betting.
Yeah, Miss July. When's the last time we started using terms like Miss July? Right now, I'm surprised they didn't come out with a statement within minutes of this. I cannot understand how the White House put out a statement beautifying economy and comparing it to a woman's body. Welcome back. Welcome back. In jest, in smiling, he's making an analogy, and we can use our own language again. It's not here all the way, but I can actually say Miss July.
Because he got everything for everybody. There's really strong growth, really strong income growth. We've got a huge reduction in government spending, 5% drop in government spending, now 70,000 fewer federal employees, and we've got $127 billion in tariffs. And so the story, the anti-Trump story, has been that we're going to have a recession or a depression because of the tariffs, which are going to jack up prices and cause consumers to run for the exits. And in fact, every single thing about this GDP release has shown strength. And then the final thing that I like to see in a release, and this is why I'm saying it's really a beauty contest level release, is if you look at it, if you then say, oh, well, next quarter is going to even be better than this, are there reasons to think that? And there are, because if you look at one of the weird little blips in the data, there was a big decline in, say, factory spending, and that was ahead of the big, beautiful bill because people were waiting for that to pass so they could expense.
And I wanted to let that play so you understand why Chuck Schumer is a flaming idiot. Well, one of the bad things about this report, it shows there was a decrease in business investment and spending. At which point somebody should have walked over. Hey, Chucky, yeah, that's the report for the second quarter prior to the big, beautiful bill being signed. Oh, so I'm pointing out something that people can look at in the next report. Yeah, idiot. People were pulling back, waiting for the green light, and the green light came on, and if you saw F1, we took off. And in September, what you just heard earlier was that what's going to happen? Well, they're probably going to lower interest rates. Oh, yeah, and they're going to hire a company to do the oil. Hey, Chuck, that was a big, bad move. Now we got you on tape. Now we got you on tape saying businesses pulled back. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to get the next report when it's sky high. I can say, look at what Chucky said. He was worried about businesses. And now, of course, now we got Sydney Sweeney and some hunky guy making commercials. I'm pretty sure business got the message. I'm pretty sure it's like, hey, we can rip it right now? Go for it. Go for it. Poor Chucky.
A huge pent-up demand for factory spending in the third quarter, and so you got to be starting to pencil in a 4% number for that quarter.
Meanwhile...
Hold on. Hold on. That was quick. I have to point it out so you guys can understand what he just said. He goes, things about to take off, and so I think you can pencil in a 4% next time. I'm looking in the chat. I hope y'all heard it. I want to point it out because other people don't. They just let it play. Hell yeah. Did you hear what he said? Oh, no. Listen. I might have to go back a couple seconds because you guys may have missed it. This is very, very important. What he tells them to do, put this in your pipe and smoke it. Ready? So he's telling you, yeah, that's where we are now. Wait till you see next time.
It's going to even be better than this. Are there reasons to think that? And there are, because if you look at one of the weird little blips in the data, there was a big decline in, say, factory spending, and that was ahead of the big, beautiful bill because people were waiting for that to pass so they could expense. And so there's going to be a huge pent-up demand for factory spending in the third quarter, and so you got to be starting to pencil in a 4% number for that quarter.
Meanwhile...
Okay, I feel like Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places. Buy! That's how you all should be fun. I mean, when you listen to people lay out the breadcrumbs for you, just in this little short videos we've done, and they've told you what's coming. You don't even need a crystal ball. They're telling you with a big smile on their face. We got a big booby Miss July that's going to turn into, like, you know, a couple big booby Miss Septembers. And he's sitting there smiling, looking like Herbie on the Misfit Kids Island. And he's like, we're going to go pencil in 4%. Pencil in what's going to happen when the rate cuts come down. Pencil in when we start getting oil flowing again. And I'm just pointing it all out to you that you now can see these indicators which you never are allowed to see. Nobody ever talks to the public and says, here's what we're getting ready to do. And he'll ask you ask President Trump a question, he'll tell you what's going to happen next. Well, as soon as that happens, it's on. President's telling you, he has actually been communicating with you. Unlike other presidents, he's like, yeah, as soon as this idiot stops playing games, or he's done, well, either way, we're gonna make $350 billion that day. So if he lowers it a point, we're gonna make $350 billion. If he lowers it to half a point, yeah, we're gonna make $180 billion. And then all of a sudden, it's on. You're on the rocket ship. And Kevin comes out and says, yeah, you could probably pencil in 4% next time. I can't keep telling you where that puck is going. You have to begin looking and listening in terms of the indicators and what people are telling you. And so the only thing that can stop you at this point is your own apprehension. If you have the president and his advisor saying, here's what's going to happen, and then over the last 6 months you can say, pretty much what they've said has indeed happened. So if over the last 6 months you can look back and go, yeah, I've seen this road we've been on, and now they're telling you, wait till you see what's going to happen. It'd be incumbent upon you to start thinking, I need to get strapped on this rocket ship. And those of you who are afraid of AI, that's okay. Nobody's going to force you to get involved. And hey, listen, those of you who don't want to get involved in crypto, that's okay. Nobody's going to twist your arm and say, you better get some crypto. But for the rest of you, it's going to be fun. You're going to make lots of money. Oh, yeah, baby. Meanwhile,
the Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that those free speech rights, that you could take on any client, why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses taking late-night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people.
You know, Spartacus here doesn't understand what he's seeing. He's seeing it all, but he's like, I see this happening, and nobody's told him.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
They can't get it. They don't understand. And so he's screaming with anger in his face because they just don't get it. Everything they built, Sydney Sweeney has helped it just disintegrate in front of their faces. We don't care anymore. You can cry, you can scream, you can do all the things you're doing, you're hoping to bring in your big communist world, and you know what?
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
They're irrelevant. You have to treat them as irrelevant at this point. Be safe, because the only part of their relevance is their danger. But they're irrelevant. They can't take what's going on, and at the same time, they can no longer stop it. The only people who can stop what's happening are Republicans. The John Thunes, the Mike Johnsons, the influencers. They're the only people who can stop what's getting ready to happen. Not the Democrats. And so you got this.
Who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today, let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where it's going. Sorry.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
What Spartacus hasn't understood yet, when he started making, what do you say, Connecticut and Jersey and this state, is you're fighting on the wrong team. You're fighting with a crappy team. You're not going to win. You're going to wallow in your blue areas of subserviency and poor riots and everything else, protest to your heart's galore, and we don't care, and it's too bad. You lost the election. President Trump's here, so you either get on board or, have people beating up people in the street. Either way, we're not going to deal with it. Nope, not at all.
That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question.
Yeah. When you see this kind of stuff, you realize that's a loser speak. That is some serious loser speak right now. You're screaming into an empty hall, because if they turned the camera on, you would see there's nobody there. So he's performing as if it's some sort of Shakespearean Spartacus type play. There's nobody there. And he's screaming into the void from inside the, quote, the gilded cage. Each another's audience. Nobody cares. I'm sorry, Corey. Life is getting very good for people. People are reverting back to what America is supposed to be, and you're like, let's fight for the crap we want to shove down people's faces.
My integrity, don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people.
The secret police. ICE agents are getting newcomers out of here. That's got you mad? The secret police? They make no sense. He's actually absolutely losing it at this point. And he represents a lot of other Democrats. They're like, you got to get out there and fight. Who? Who are you going to fight? President Trump keeps spanking that ass. He keeps spanking you. Who are you going to fight? Your own constituents at this point are like, hey, man, does he know the Giants and the Jets start playing football real soon? Because once the Giants and the Jets start playing, ain't a whole lot going on in Jersey. Even Bruce Springsteen got to do a concert here or there. Maybe even John Bon Jovi up in the Meadowlands. Only got a couple more months while it's warm. We got to make that money, Corey. I tried for you. I tried to help with your communist way, but I can only go so far. My tickets cost $500 a pop. Good luck, Corey.
Pull up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that were agreed with? When are we going to stand together? If we don't stand as Democrats, we deserve to lose. But if we stand united, if we stand strong, if we stand with other people, if we tell with a chorus of conviction in America what this president is doing is wrong, if we stand up and speak that way, dear God, we will win. Like all of
I can't help it. I was going to do a Rumble jump over a couple nights ago, so I've got it ready for you. But the night that that shooting broke out in New York was the, 50th or 60th anniversary of Animal House. And I swear what he's given is the Animal House speech. Those of you guys who are old enough to remember, you remember, John Belushi. Were we silent when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Let him go. Remember that? That's what he sounded like. You people are, and he went off into his tirade. He was like, were we this way when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? And the two guys on the couch just don't stop him. He's on a roll. That's what he's doing right now. He's giving the Germans bombing Pearl Harbor speech. And nobody wants to stop him. Just let Corey be.
those people that are ancestors who joined hands together and said, we shall overcome. No, not on my watch. I'm protecting Jersey today. I'm protecting our Constitution today.
Dude, you can't even protect your back ends. Okay, let's just be serious here. Okay, you're a drama queen with a capital Q. And I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time at all for you, bro. At this point, it's comedic watching this stuff happen. I'm sorry, I can't even tell you guys about it. It's so funny. Let me look at what I got for you right now. Let's see if this actually works for me. I have a new way of doing things, and it's supposed to work, and we'll see if this actually works. And oh, it does work that way. That is fantastic. This is the new Trump red knife. So, listen to this. Let me talk to you guys about this knife here. Many of you have seen from Patriot Addict the Trump red knife. That's the Trump red knife right here. Good knife. A lot of people have gotten it and said they really like it. So they came out with a new product, and this new product is the Trump, there it is right there, the Trump Signature Blade. Pretty cool packaging, how they put this together. Knife is pretty much the same knife mechanically. It has all the same features, quick release and everything else that's got it. But the difference is it is painted differently. It's got 45, 47 on it. It's got flag. It's got a different aura to it. Most importantly, it's got a stencil on it where it's got President Trump's signature on the actual blade. And it's very, 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 very sharp. Sharper than the other one, I think. You can get this knife for free. All you've got to do is go to the QR code right here and order it up, and you will get it. And it is a special just for the fanfare community. Why are they doing it? Because you guys have been so good in helping them and helping this channel grow. They're offering this knife for free. Now the catch is, if there is a catch, is that you just have to pay for shipping. Shipping being about 14, 15 bucks or so. And that's it. No subscriptions, no ongoing fees, don't have to sign up for anything. Just go to the QR code right here and you can pick up this knife for just the cost of shipping. It regularly retails for 70 bucks, but that's all you do is pay the shipping and they'll get it out to you pretty quick. And I trust me, just from all the different people who have written about it, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Thanks, guys from Patriot Addict, for helping out with this show. Yeah, those guys at Patriot Addict are fantastic. I love it. And even Rumble has changed up the way they're doing things. So, yeah, thank you very, very much. All right, let me look at some comments from you guys here. You'll poke your eye out. He's talking about Animal House. Oh yeah, I've got a whole, Monday, maybe one of these nights. But I've got the Animal House, my whole commemoration to it. I did tons of work with Otis Day and the Knights. The guy's name is Dwayne Jesse, and his sister performed. They're just great people, and it was just fun. I just remember doing, a toga party night at many different locations. Even on Disney's Pleasure Island, we did a toga night celebration during spring break, and it was awesome. And I just loved it. Everybody remembers that movie. You remember where you were when you saw that movie, how old you were, whether it's high school or not. And one of the funniest things is, you think about it today, last year that movie could never be remade. They probably couldn't even show it. There are too many things in that movie with the fifis would hurt. They'd have sore nipples watching that movie. And so now we could watch it again. Loved Animal House. Way to go. Let's see here. Barry, what do you think the president will do with the debt? I was talking to Ashley this morning about this. And one of the things that, if you look at the chart, if you go look at the things he wants to do, and he put it out there, his platform, he's almost done all of them, and it's July. So what's he going to do moving forward? One, I think he's going to tackle the debt. I think that's going to be something in his scope. Number two, and I think he's going to tear butt. I think that whole thing right now with the Russiagate and Obama, that they don't want to talk about right now. I'm going to talk to you about all that tomorrow, but there's some really interesting stuff going on. And when he's talking about the burn bag, it's like, what? I don't know anything about this burn bag. Okay. Okay. That even tells you more. Something about to happen there. The Animal House soundtrack is great. Shamalama ding dong. I make the ooh mama. I can't believe I remember that 50 years later, whatever it is. Oh, God. That was so much fun. Toga! 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 Yes. Toga parties were racist last year. God bless President Trump. Yes, toga parties were racist last year. Every single one of us my age went to a toga party somewhere back in the late 70s and early 80s. Toga, toga. And drank mass consumption of beer. Oh, my God. Lord willing, he works on election integrity. Absolutely. You could even show that to, we should do a movie night where we show Animal House, and then we should do another one when, what's it called? The one where they beat the, I speak jive, Airplane. We should do Animal House one night and then do Airplane the next night. You mind if I dance with your dates? Now, those of you who are too young are like, what are they talking about? What does that mean? Can I dance with your dates? Oh, when you see it, you'll just bend over and guffaw. Oh, man. Tangents. I'm sorry about the tangents. All right, let's get back to the show.
So I've spent a lot of time over the last 15 days talking about Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, and what Republicans should do and say about it. And they have not done a lot right there. But I actually think the other side of the equation, Democrats, is a really interesting thing politically to look at as well. Axios reported on Thursday that Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, is urging his Democratic colleagues to make Jeffrey Epstein and the questions surrounding the release or not release of the files involving the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein a major point of their rhetoric in this August recess period, this next 5 weeks where Congress is not in Washington. The belief
Okay, I want to break in here for something, because here's what I want you to watch. Over the next 4 or 5 weeks with Congress not being in session, one, what executive orders, what is President Trump going to do? Because other than that, there's going to be a very boring couple weeks if there's nothing going on in Washington except President Trump wandering the halls of the White House. See, a lot of people are wondering, what's John Thune doing? I'm waiting to see what exactly the plan is here. When everybody's vacated Washington, and the only one walking around the halls over there going to be him and Stephen Miller and some of these guys, that's kind of scary. That reminds me of The Shining with Jack Nicholson. All work and no play makes Jack a bad boy. I think Trump's going to be a bad boy. Bad boy. Just think about that. No one's going to be around. Probably the press pool won't be around. It's going to be very quiet in Washington for the next month. Do you think President Trump's just going to take a vacation? So either these people don't know what's coming or there's something planned. There is no way Trump's going to go, you know, I've been kicking butt for the last 6 months. Let me take the month of August off while everybody's gone. Raise your hand if you think Trump's going to take the month of August off. While they're all taking off, which makes no sense whatsoever. You expect President Trump to be sitting back in the White House with Melania watching Golden Girls or something? Yeah. If I were the Democrats, I'd be terrified. What is this man going to do? Well, I have a prediction I'll tell you tomorrow. But I think it involves Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino. They're going to have a month where they have everything they need in Washington and nobody around. I think the next 5 weeks are going to be earth-shattering myself. But let's continue.
Among Democrats is this is a place where the MAGA base is divided. This is a place where it at least looks like Donald Trump isn't telling everything he knows. Push on that.
This is a blaring red alarm
All right, so Hakeem Jeffries, seeing what the influencers have done, has now said, hey, listen, I think we got an advantage here. Keep pushing on this Epstein stuff. And we'll keep pushing it. And keep pushing it. And we're going to turn some of these people who think they're, you know, the Epsteiniacs who are just crazy about it, just insane. The Democrats are now fueling that fire. They even held a press conference today about Epstein. With all this good economics news, they're still talking about Epstein, and they've been given the green light to do so by Chucky and Hakeem Jeffries solely because of what these influencers have riled up. I can't forgive them for that. They played right into the Democrats' hands. They played right into all this, and some of them keep talking about it. Unbelievable. Now this one you're going to find comical. This, with everything that's happening, all these good economic numbers, where people are like, hey, prosperity, hey, how you doing? Oh, live and prosper. What was the old Star Trek handshake? Yeah, live and prosper. You get this.
Democrats should not ignore. And I say that thinking about how angry people are, because Democrats specifically ran on a platform in 2024 about how dangerous Donald Trump is, how he would lead an authoritarian type of regime in this administration, and how he is now acting on that. And Democrats have yet to formulate an explicit, comprehensive response to someone that they identified as a threat. They're not treating him as a threat. There's these attempts to use normal tactics and politics that no longer apply to the playbook or the reality that we're experiencing. And I think it's important for Democrats to listen to this and recalibrate, even including how they treat candidates who do excite voters, who do expand the number of people engaging in elections. And of course, I'm talking about New York City mayoral candidate, the Democratic nominee, Zohran Mamdani. The fact that Democrats have not overwhelmingly endorsed his campaign and then see this type of polling, which showed them down, means that they need to reset themselves, not only in responding to Donald Trump, but also in engaging younger candidates who are expanding the base and exciting the public, because that's something that they're going to need critically in 2026.
Democrats, if I may, please, whatever you do, please wrap your arms around Zohan the communist up in New York City. Please, please. I'd like you to do that nationwide and tell everybody that you're going to, get full on behind the communist in New York City. I couldn't dream of something more appealing to me personally and as MAGA. That by you guys doing that, you are going to show the world that you are truly effing nuts. And you're going to make a whole lot of us money. I mean, I can't even tell you. One of the things I'm doing with Ashley when she's down here is I'm showing her the other side of stuff that we do in terms of the real estate business. And she's going to see firsthand. I'm going to get her involved in, hey, listen, here's how we buy these houses. Here's how we get it financed. Here's how we sell it. Here's how we market it. I'm going to show her all that because we're going to need some help down here if Zohan wins the election up in New York City. There will be more people on that George Washington Bridge and getting out of LaGuardia or JFK than you can imagine. It will empty out. Wall Street will probably be gone. It would be a Democrat utopia, and at the same time, the destruction of the biggest city in the country. And you openly have these people on MSNBC saying, you got to fight back, and the way to fight back is to wrap your arms around Zohan. Please, please, please do that. I mean, I shouldn't be hoping for the end and demise of New York City. I shouldn't. I just can't help it. I can't get the glee off of my face thinking about what this guy would do to New York City. Because then, when they throw his ass out a couple of years later, then there's going to be a whole lot of opportunity to go up there and clean it up. They don't know. They're so lost right now. This is such a lost party. They are willing to put a communist into the mayoral position in the biggest city in the country, the financial capital basically of the world. They want to put a communist in. The financial capital of the world, commie. Those two things can't coexist. Those two things will not survive or succeed together. And he is going to chase these people out of there. Don't just take my word for it. I'm going to show you some stuff tomorrow. There's already big business people who are like, ouch, ouch. It's amazing that they're this desperate. When you see Cory Booker screaming, and he's like, we got to fight, fight, fight. And then you got MSNBC and a lot of other people. What's her name? The one who's Claire McGovern, whatever her name, Claire McCloskey, whatever. And she's on MSNBC saying, yeah, we need to embrace Zohan. And I'm thinking, are you people effing out of your minds? You cannot want this guy to be in place. I don't care whose puppet he is, but you can't put a commie in place just to appease a small group of people. And right now, it looks like he's probably going to win because Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo can't get their act together. They need to unite and be one person. I don't care who the titular head is, whether it's Cuomo, Adams, or Curtis. They need to have one person so you can get all those votes coalesced. But I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't live in New York City. So whatever happens, happens. You, again, now have another thing, another indicator. You have another one. You got the interest rates. You got the oil reserves. You got all this stuff happening that you can be writing down. Here's what's going to happen. Here's where the puck is going. Now you got another one. Where are all these people in New York going to go when they need to escape? There are elections in November. Not that far away. And if this guy wins, people are going to absolutely lose it. I can't wait. It sounds a little bit selfish, but I don't live there, so there's nothing I can do. Not a doggone thing I can do. Probably nothing you can do if you don't live up there. But what you can do is be a refuge for people who are going to get the hell out. You live in Texas or maybe Georgia or Tennessee, and you want to put up a sign saying, New Yorkers, hold on, leave your crappy ideas in the city. Then you can come down here. Yo, you like Gatlinburg? None of that purple-haired crap stuff here. We're not going to take it. If you're going to leave it, leave it. But I like New York. I love New York. Well, stay. But you can't leave and come down here and bitch at us because we don't like the way you live up there. That's why you have to leave. Because of your convictions have let this guy be so prominent. Somebody said play Blazing Saddles to you. You guys want me to hit all the third rails. He will win because people didn't vote. You're absolutely right. Barry, can you see if Curtis would come on the show? Yeah, if Ashley's still here, I'll let her know. And Yeah, I would like to say gangs of New York are coming. Georgia's full. Nobody, they don't want you there either. Oh my God, I hear he's losing support amongst his party. Well, it seems like they're trying, but hey, Thomas Statton, like you said, spot on. I can't help you. I'm sorry, we can't help you. This is on you, New York. This is on you. Everybody else, just get ready. Just get ready. Don't bring your New York to Florida or Texas or Tennessee, wherever. I moved out of New York because I like the people. There's no way I want them. There's no way I don't want them here. I can make money on parking for a night or two. Oh my God, it's going to be too funny. All right, so I got to get ready to go to dinner, take a shower, and go to Ashley's birthday dinner. So let me go ahead and do if there's any super chats here, and I'm thinking of definitely about doing a movie night tonight. I want to do Animal House first. I think if you guys like to have some fun with that, I'll put up a poll tomorrow's date show, and we'll see if you guys want to see Animal House or you want something more serious. I think right now we all just need to have a big laugh. Big laugh at their expense. It doesn't even matter. Who cares? Because this is where things are going, and we have a president who wants to get us there. All right, let me do this. Knucklehead. Yes, Navy all the way. White on white. Okay, that's who that was, that guy up front. Thank you for that. My super chat in the Trump Fed visit show was rhetorical. Who benefits on the high interest rates on Powell's handlers? Yeah, absolutely. Buddy Sanders, gas is low here. I was able to buy premium. Very good. Donna Hill, thank you. CR, happy birthday, Ashley. Thank you. Stephen Anderson, British Shell run North Slope Oil, Anacortes, Washington. Oh, by the way, I don't know why that just went into my head. If you guys are watching and you're out there in Hawaii or were in peril with yesterday, I hope everybody's okay from the tsunami and earthquake out there. I didn't see much of it at all in the news today. All right, Mary Kellum says she contacted Chapter and they're going to help. Great, absolutely great. Peaceful, I'm reading this right. Peaceful Haven Media, fellow Gen Xers afraid something new. I heard the video ladies over the weekend talk about trying Robinhood. I set up my own, bought 120 NVIDIA, 50 XRP. Now NVIDIA is flying. No stock experience. Ease and fun. Try it, Xers. She's doing it. She's doing it. Doing it. Again, if you can't afford it or you can't risk it, don't go putting your life savings in it. You're going to have to learn. And so when you see people like Peaceful Haven Media here say, hey, I've done it. I bought some NVIDIA. She spent $120, $150. She bought $170 worth of stuff. And she says it's fine. I'm telling you, you've got all of your data points sitting right there in front of you. So you should know what's about to happen. All right, guys, I'm going to go take a shower and get ready to go to dinner, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow's Thursday already. Tomorrow's Thursday, and Thursday normally means press conference. Maybe Caroline, she's back from Scotland. She's probably going to do a press conference. Oh, I did have to tell you guys one thing. Again, I have to thank all of you guys. Hold on. Let me show this to you before I go to the... All right, so YouTube's latest list, top podcasts for July 21 to 27. And looks like Joe Rogan got beat by that liberal podcast. They do a lot because Midas Touch is like one of the only liberal nutjob good ones out there. But we're down here. I think we charted at this week 51, 52. We actually moved up a bunch. Here we are. 55. Thanks to you guys. 55. You guys are rocking it. Absolutely rocking it. And we came in above some other guys you might know, again, as usual. Yeah, even above 60 minutes. But that's pretty awesome. Thank you guys very, very much. As long as you guys keep watching, we'll keep charting, and who knows, maybe one day we'll be up there in the top 25 with some of the stuff we're looking at doing. In any event, thank you very, very much. Wanted to share it with you because it's because of you that's where we are. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
important.